when I go on vacation for 30 days.
The moment Shannon Sharpe started calmly going through Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s money situation, the wealthy image suddenly did not feel so solid anymore. Because behind the private jets, expensive watches, and constant showing off, something is not matching up the way it once did. Is Floyd really as cash-ready as he says, or has his empire quietly moved into survival mode? And if the Money King is chasing exhibition fights, what is he actually trying to get away from?
He's in financial straits. You know, he was very flamboyant and flashy with a lot of his money, and it almost seemed like impossible, even if he lost a lot of it. How can he actually go broke? Well, I know he lost $8 million on a house in Vegas, $54 million in loans. Another house of his just got foreclosed on. What? He sold his plane. Logan Paul says he owes him like $1.2 million. He also owes Dubai royalty money. He's underwater with the IRS. He's not going to garner a lot of sympathy from people because of the way he acted and the way he carried himself, but it's wild to think when you make that much money.
Most people thought the Money nickname was permanent, like it came with a lifetime guarantee. But lately, it is starting to look more like a monthly subscription that is past due. And the most uncomfortable part is not even the rumors themselves. It is how many different people are suddenly telling the exact same story about Floyd Mayweather Jr., and none of them sound like haters anymore.
When it comes to Floyd Mayweather, I told you he was broke. Y'all got so mad at me because it's like, how could somebody actually broke talk about a man who's broke and he got more money than you? Look at all those fake Birkins he buys his girlfriends. Well, listen, here's the thing. Man, I told you them Birkins was fake. First of all, you cannot go buy 20 Birkins at once that are all the same size. You do know that, right? I couldn't even say the name at first. Remember I used to call it a Herm's bag? And then they started picking at me and I was like, it's Herm. Because I'm just not into buying things.
Private jets, million-dollar watches, piles of cash, shown so casually that they began to feel like props instead of real money. It was not just wealth, it was a performance. Floyd Mayweather Jr. did not only want to be rich. He wanted to look untouchable, like the kind of man who could burn money for heat and still have enough left to buy the building he was standing in.
Out that Mayweather's broke right now. His spending has gotten so out of control that this is why he's coming back and again.
Oh, absolutely. But I've been knowing that.
Oh, you've known that?
Of course.
Explain.
Of course. Huh?
Explain.
Well, I mean, even in all those expeditions that he's been doing, Floyd was doing shows for $26,000. You know, when Floyd fought Shane Mosley, I called Floyd and I was like, one of the casinos want to give you $150,000 for a 15-minute walkthrough. And they said they'll give me $30,000 to walk through with you. And he turned it down.
Now suddenly that same image is being taken apart piece by piece. And the man leading the charge in a way only he can is Shannon Sharpe, who did not yell, did not go on a rant, but calmly started connecting dots that no one wanted to connect out loud.
But if someone going out there putting lies on my name, putting lies on me and my team and my family and hurting my business, we're not talking about millions. We're talking about billions of dollars. We can't do that. So this is my first time ever filing a lawsuit against a media company for speaking bad about my company. I'm not a liar. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. I worked hard to build my name, to build my reputation, and I'm not gonna let anyone go out there and smear my name and talk bad about me, talk bad.
The conversation is no longer about how much Floyd made. Everyone knows he made hundreds of millions. The real question sneaking into the room is far more dangerous. How much of it is actually still there? And once that question gets asked, everything starts to look different. The exhibitions that once felt like easy paydays now feel like duties. The constant traveling from Dubai to Japan to Nigeria stops looking like worldwide control and starts looking like someone chasing checks across different time zones. Even the opponents tell a story, because when a legendary fighter faces influencers, retired athletes, and names that barely ring a bell in boxing circles, people stop asking why is he doing this because of the money and instead ask what is really going on. In his eyes, this is no longer a smart move by a brilliant businessman. It looks like a legend stretching his legacy a bit too thin just to keep the engine running. And that word engine is where things get uncomfortable. Because Floyd's lifestyle was never built to slow down. It was designed to keep growing forever. Fleets of cars, multiple mansions, and luxury spending that does not just sit quietly but demands constant care. That kind of life does not just cost money once. It eats money every single day.
Ran off with all of his money. He's suing Showtime for giving the manager his money. Over $300 million. This man made over $1 billion in his lifetime, okay? It was reported just a few days ago that he has a tax lien for about $7.3 million, okay? Federal tax liens, okay, filed in 2018 and in 2023. So these are unpaid past taxes, all right? I guess the skating rink and the strip club ain't bringing in money like that. Neither is his boxing career because apparently, his ex-manager took it all. And let's not forget, back in 2017, okay, a year before that, he owed about $22.2 million, but his manager...
So when reports start coming out about lawsuits, unpaid deals, and questionable business moves, they do not stand alone. They start forming a pattern. There were tax issues that never fully went away after the Conor McGregor fight. And then there were the quieter rumors, the ones that never make headlines but keep getting repeated in gyms, locker rooms, and podcasts. And that is where Amir Khan stepped in and turned up the volume. Khan did not just question Floyd's finances. He questioned his reasons. When Floyd made very public political statements and appearances, Khan suggested there might be money motives behind them. And that silence might be louder than any insult. Because while Floyd is flying around the world doing exhibitions, Canelo is building a modern empire differently. Planned fights, smart business moves, long-term investments, less flash, more solid ground. It is not that Canelo is richer or poorer. It is that his wealth looks stable while Floyd's looks busy, and busy is not always a good sign.
It's an exhibition, so we're both winners. We just want to go out there, entertain the people, put on a good show. When he said that from where I was sitting, he kind of gave away the fact that he really doesn't want to risk the record, right? That kind of gives it away. How do you feel about that? You're a respectful guy, but as a fighter, how do you feel about that position he's taking?
As a fighter, I'm a fighter and I respect everyone. I mean, opinion, I respect everyone's decision. But I hope that, and on that decision, announcement of Floyd Mayweather, he will, what he signed is a real fight, so he should fulfill.
Manny Pacquiao adds another layer to this story because when he speaks, it carries history. He has been through the biggest fight ever. And when asked about a possible return or exhibition, his answer is simple. It is just for money. That sentence hits differently when it comes from someone who walked the same path. It removes the illusion and leaves only the reason. Then comes the younger generation, and this is where things change from concern to warning. Devin Haney represents a new way of thinking. He respects Floyd, studied him, and even borrowed parts of his style, but he is also openly critical of the lifestyle that came with it. To Haney, boxing is not just about making money. It is about having a long career. These are signs of a legend who might be trying to keep up with a lifestyle that refuses to slow down. Signs of a brand that once controlled everything but now looks like it is reacting instead of leading. Even fighters who came up under Floyd like Rolando Romero are quietly putting space between themselves and him. Not with dramatic exits or public fights, but with small changes in their image, different messages, and a clear absence from the money team spotlight. That kind of distance is rarely an accident.
Later, he's running around with one of my guys, Link, from Memphis, and he's doing parties for $26,000, $30,000. So when I see him doing that, I'm like, Floyd doing a party for $25,000, $30,000? Something wrong with that. And this was like 6 years ago.
I mean, look, Mayweather broke is not our version of broke, right? Me and you being broke means we're really broke. Mayweather broke means that, okay, he may have to sell off one of his homes. He may have to sell off a few watches.
Well, they saying in New York, the guy that...
And then there is the structure behind it, all Mayweather Promotions, which once looked like the next big power in boxing. Now it feels quieter. Fewer major stars, fewer big events, and more questions about what is happening inside. There are reports of fighters feeling unsupported, deals not going smoothly, and communication falling apart. On their own, each issue can be explained away. But together they start to show a different picture. A picture where the empire is not falling apart overnight, but is slowly getting harder to keep going. And this is where Shannon Sharpe comes back into the conversation, because his breakdown is not about revealing one shocking number in Floyd's bank account. People start asking questions that cannot be ignored. And the biggest question is not whether Floyd is broke. It is whether Floyd is still in control. Because everything about his career was built on control. Controlling opponents, controlling negotiations, controlling timing, controlling the story. Now the story is starting to control him.
There's a staggering number that he's earned an estimated $1.1 billion in his career from boxing. Like, the idea that Floyd could ever be broke just sounds absolutely ludicrous. Because no matter what habits you have, like, you know, there's people that says, yo, if you give them $5-10 million, they could never spend that money throughout their lifetime. Now, usually the real truth with whatever amount.
A fighter who mastered defense better than anyone is now getting hit from angles he cannot easily block. Public opinion, financial scrutiny, criticism from peers, and changes in the younger generation of the sport, all of it coming at once. And the more he tries to prove that everything is fine by taking more fights, showing more money, and making bigger claims, the more people start to wonder if those displays are for reassurance or out of desperation. Because real wealth rarely needs to shout. And right now, the noise around Floyd Mayweather is louder than it has ever been. And the louder it gets, the harder it becomes to ignore the one thing Floyd spent his whole career avoiding. Vulnerability. Because this is not just about money anymore. It is about his image slipping. And once that starts, it does not matter how many stacks of cash you post online or how many watches you flash under bright lights. People talk about owning huge real estate portfolios. They talk about buildings, investments, and wealth that lasts for generations. On the other side, you have reports suggesting those same assets are tied up in partnerships, loans, or legal problems that make them far less available than advertised. And that difference matters more than people realize.
Are we in this place right now? You should have had good people around you, making good decisions for you, so your money wouldn't look funny at this age. There should be no reason why at this moment of your life you are doing these boxing exhibitions. It's unnecessary, man. Mayweather's one of the best defense fighters. He on his come up, he was knocking people out. Money Mayweather, man, he was that guy. Now I'm hearing that the Netflix thing with Pacquiao and him, it's a lot of things going on. And I'm just telling myself, what is he doing, man?
Owning something completely and owning just a part of something are two very different realities, especially when your whole public image is built on the idea that you never need anyone else's money. When that story starts to get blurry, even a little, it opens the door to a level of examination Floyd has never really had to face before. The real estate situation keeps coming up because it will not quietly go away. A deal once talked about as a huge empire-building move now sounds more like a complicated money web with lawsuits, arguments, and questions about what was actually controlled versus what was simply talked up. For a man who made a career out of controlling every detail, this kind of uncertainty feels completely out of character. And then there is the lifestyle. The same lifestyle that once made Floyd look unbeatable is now being looked at again as something that needs a steady flow of income to stay alive. That is why the exhibitions feel different now. Before, they seemed like extra bonuses, easy nights where Floyd could step into a ring, entertain, and leave with big checks without risking his perfect record. Now they feel planned, frequent, and more necessary. When someone who claimed to be above the grind keeps coming back to it, people stop seeing it as a choice. That article started rumors that you are bankrupt. How do you respond to that? I do not think you have publicly responded.
How do you respond to that? I don't think you have publicly responded.
Well, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I mean, if we call having 2 private jets, owning 100 buildings, being able to do what you want to do, if that's bankrupt, then I'm pretty sure everybody want to live like that. I'm 48 years old, and I've never sued a media outlet. The media outlet throughout my life has bashed me, talked bad about me, spoke bad about my family. Now, I've always been judged because how I have presented myself.
And that is where the story becomes less about dollar amounts and more about direction. Because Floyd Mayweather Jr. is no longer being judged on what he once piled up, but on where everything seems to be heading. If the exhibitions keep coming, if the lawsuits keep adding up, if the business side does not tighten back into the machine it once was, then the story will keep sliding in one direction no matter how many reminders of past wealth get posted online. At some point, perception stops just reacting and starts making up its mind. And that shift is dangerous because in boxing, once people sense a decline, they do not wait for proof. The aura fades first, then the power follows. And suddenly the same man who once set every rule is forced to answer questions he never had to deal with before. The most ironic part of all is that Floyd built an empire on controlled precision and proving doubters wrong at every stage of his career. Now, for the first time in years, it feels like the doubt is not just coming from critics, but from the pattern of events themselves. And the world is watching closely to see if he can still turn things around. Alright everyone, stay tuned for the latest in boxing news, highlights, events, and stories. Subscribe to and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Be sure to watch our other videos too. Until next time, take care and stay safe.